Welcome to the episode of ExCEL with Gabrielle. I'm your host, Gabrielle Gordon, and every Sunday at 7 p.m. I'll leave you motivational advice and entrepreneurial tips to young entrepreneurs and leaders just like you. So make sure to head over to ExCELYouthMentoring.com to subscribe to the ExCEL Youth Mentoring Institute, and don't forget to tell other people about this because I wouldn't want anybody to miss anything. So on today's episode of ExCEL with Gabrielle, I am very excited to share with you the interview that I did with a woman that is very knowledgeable on a topic that every business owner, entrepreneur should know about. Her name is Andrea Evans, and she launched the intellectual property law practice, the law firm of Andrea Evans, LLC. As an intellectual property attorney, Andrea Evans is an expert at getting entrepreneurs and business owners patents, trademarks, and copyrights. Along with her career in law, Ms. Evans founded Kidgineer, the educational program that helps youth get interested in STEM, science, technology, mathematics, and engineering, using fun and hands-on programs, tools, and activities. So make sure you guys are listening closely and are ready to take notes because Miss Andrea Evans has some wonderful advice to share with you all today. And without further ado, here is Miss Andrea Evans. Welcome, Miss Andrea.
Thank you for having me, Gabrielle. I'm so excited to be here.
Of course, thank you so much. I'm very excited to have you on and talking about these topics because I know this is something that a lot of young people that are watching, a lot of young entrepreneurs, really all entrepreneurs, these are things that they need to learn and that they need to understand. So I'm really excited to have you sharing about your profession and sharing about the knowledge that you have. So to get started, I do want to learn more about you and your company and Andrea. It's Andrea. The middle name is pronounced Hence. Okay, Andrea Evans law firm.
Yes.
When did you get started with this? And why did you decide to have a law firm?
Sure. So, interestingly enough, I am a patent, trademark, and copyright attorney. And so a lot of people don't know that you actually have to have an engineering background to be a patent attorney. And so I come from a family of engineers and scientists. And so even though when I was in third grade, I wanted to be a judge, my mother said, well, you're really good at science. And I wanted to go to Spelman. And I was very fortunate to get a full scholarship from NASA to go to Spelman and Georgia Tech. So I participated in a dual degree engineering program. My degrees are actually in math and civil and environmental engineering. And I thought I'd come to DC. What better place to be around lawyers and go to law school. So I actually had never been to DC, and I applied to George Washington Law School, was accepted. And many people don't know George Washington is the #1 law school for intellectual property law. And so because I had that scientific background, a lot of my professors encouraged me to pursue intellectual property law. So I took a few classes. I really enjoyed it, worked at a few firms. But what's unique about my practice is that I actually started it 9 years ago, but I never really aspired to be an entrepreneur. I never knew. Times have really changed because, as you know, having this business that you have, people now can take classes and learn from entrepreneurs. Right. But when I was growing up, people just encouraged you to get a job and keep that job.
Right.
So I was working at the patent office for 3 years as a patent examiner and 2 as a trademark examining attorney. And what happened is I started getting a lot of calls from my peers that needed referrals. Yeah. And I ended up referring over 6 figures of business to one of my mentors. And when he actually called and said, hey, I think you're maybe doing the wrong thing. I appreciate you giving me all this business. I literally just stepped out on faith 2 weeks later and started my law firm. And that was because I felt like, imagine if I tried to put myself out there to let people know I was offering this service. And so I'm very fortunate because I found a good niche in that I help children, entrepreneurs of all ages and all sizes, small business owners to Fortune 100, as well as international and local clients. So that's the beauty of my practice, that I'm able to represent clients all over the world with any type of intellectual property issue. And it's so rewarding because I know I'm definitely making a difference in their lives.
Definitely. I think it's a big thing that I take away from that is to kind of remember to stay flexible, but not just flexible, but to give your all in the things that you do and in the different, directions that you might go in. and to still be focused, even if it's something that you didn't expect to happen or didn't think would happen. You still you took it on and you went for it, and now you're here and you're doing these things for other people, and you're helping others, and I think that's absolutely wonderful. How long have you had the law firm?
I just celebrated 9 years
Oh,
in
wow.
July. So
Congratulations.
thank you.
That's wonderful. Okay, so let's get into a little bit about the knowledge between trademark patenting and copywriting. What is the difference between those three things?
That's a great question. So, just like you said, intellectual property is divided into three types: patents, trademarks, and copyrights. And simply put, you patent an invention, you trademark the names of those inventions, and you copyright any written material. So, if you invent a television, you would patent that television, trademark the name of it, Sony, and then copyright the shows that you see on the television. So that's a really straightforward way to
I think that's the clearest way you could put that, and I think that really that clarifies a lot for people, because I know I did a mastermind. I usually do masterminds with young people, and that's a topic that we talk about. And I think it can be very confusing if you don't know how to explain it, but you explained it the perfect way. Trademark is the product itself. Patent is the product itself.
Yes.
Trademark is the logo, correct?
Mm-hmm. Or the brand.
Okay, and then copyright is any of the material that goes with it.
Right.
Perfect. All right. So moving on, what are some of the most common mistakes that you've seen? As an attorney, when people try to get a trademark, when people try to get a patent, when they try to get copywriting, what is some of the most common mistakes that you encounter?
Well, the biggest is probably that I see a lot of people try to file and prosecute applications on their own. And so, because the trademark process, especially, can seem very practical. So, first of all, I just want to say, when people have inventions, there's so many commercials on television, so people know, oh, I need a patent. Right. But you never really hear entrepreneurs talk about getting trademarks. And so, for some reason, it's kind of like the stepchild of intellectual property, where people just have a lot of assumptions that aren't true. So what I mean by that is they often assume that if they start a business, they own the name, or if they have a domain name, they own the trademark. So there are a lot of misconceptions. And so then when people do hear an interview like this, they feel encouraged and they want to go out and file. And then they often feel like, well, it's too expensive, so I don't want to pay an attorney to do this. And they file the application, not realizing it's a legal document. Right. And so what I've seen working on both sides, like I said, I was a trademark attorney at the patent office, and now I'm on the opposite side helping my clients on a daily basis get trademarks. What I often see is they answer questions incorrectly. And unfortunately, ignorance of the law is not an excuse. And so if you make a mistake, you can't shrug your shoulders and say, oh, I didn't know. Right. You can actually jeopardize your rights. So I see a lot of people try to act like they're IP lawyers. And so that's one of the biggest mistakes. And so I highly recommend that if you're interested in protecting any type of intellectual property, you sit down with a qualified intellectual property attorney. And so trademark law is a lot of fun, Gab, because when I go to the store, I get to see a lot of my clients' products on the shelves. Wonderful. It's really rewarding, and it's something that a lot of people can understand, because if you have a business name, you can go to the store yourself and see another business and say, oh, I'm confused by that name, or it's similar. And another mistake I often see is that people, once they get the trademarks, don't realize that it's up to them to maintain them and enforce them. Definitely. And so you don't want a lot of people to be out here using your brand without your permission. So it can actually make you look bad, where if I think that I'm attending one of your courses and it's someone else's and it's a horrible course, now I'm going to go straight to social media and talk about your business when it wasn't you. Right. So you can't sit back and let people just use your name, and you can't say you didn't know. So it's always good, if you have any type of intellectual property, to sit down and have a consultation so you can understand fully what your options are. Yeah, I think, a lot of people, they try to be Superman or Superwoman, and they try to handle law, especially parents. We have a lot of young entrepreneurs, young parents or entrepreneurs, and, they don't want to put out a lot of money to do a bunch of different things. They just want to be able to help their kids as best as they can. And so they try to take it all on themselves, and that can end up, very detrimental, or that could end up failing the product or the business by, there are some things that you should
put for other people to do, people that have gone to school and learned about these things. It's there's certain things that you should invest in order to get the right outcome.
That's right.
That's definitely having, you know, an attorney to focus on these things, because it can get, I know I've done a lot of research on it, because of course with I believe trademarking my companies, there's a lot that kind of goes into it, and you can easily kind of go blind with some of those other things that have to be done, or just misconstrue to some of those other things and not really know what's going on and end up kind of messing it all up. So definitely, I think that's a really great tip to share. What do you think that young entrepreneurs, or really any entrepreneurs, can, like the top tip, the top, you know, advice that you would give to a young entrepreneur, really any entrepreneur? What do you think is a really big tip that you think when going into that world, what is something that you would share with them?
Well, I think this applies to any entrepreneur of any age. And I want to go back to the point you were making that when you have a business, you know, whether you're 10 years old or you're 100 years old, the key to success is knowing what your strengths are and knowing when to outsource certain things. So I like to tell my clients, actually, my trademark is invest in your idea. And so all of this is an investment, and you have to believe in yourself and have that type of confidence in your business.
Yeah.
But the worst thing that could happen is if you have something proprietary. So you have some type of invention that you didn't patent. Now it's fair game for anybody to use this invention. Or let's say you have a brand and you decide for some reason you're not going to invest, like you said, in securing that trademark. And you want to wait until you make some more money, or you want to wait until people know your name. By that point, it's likely that someone else will already have that name. And so what I often see and what I do on a daily basis, unfortunately, is have to go after people that are using my clients' brands. And, you know, what we have to do is then tell them, hey, destroy everything you have with that name on it. And so imagine if you sell 1,000 widgets with Evans IP law on it, and I tell you to destroy them, you're out of 1,000 times whatever you paid to have that product made. So, and also with copyright. So what I find is I love what I do because it's a good type of law. Like, we're over here helping to make all of our clients' dreams come true. So it's
bad types of laws.
And people don't want to sit with attorneys, because often when you hear attorney, you kind of get that nervous pit in your stomach. But what you don't know what you don't know. And so what I would advise everybody watching, all entrepreneurs, is if you're uncertain about what type of intellectual property you have, or you're watching this and you're saying, oh, you know, I didn't even know that I needed to protect this, that's when it's time now to get a consultation done. Because often when people call me, they're rushed and they're pressed for time, and they're saying, oh, I needed this done. And it's a process. So patents can take almost 3 years just before the patent office even looks at it. A trademark from beginning to end can take over a year. And so you don't want to wait until Oprah says your name and people know your brand. You want to start when no one knows your brand, because the value of intellectual property is priceless. Whatever you can do with real property, you can do with intellectual property. So you can license it, you can sell it, you can assign it, you can will it. So it's extremely valuable. So the key with businesses is that we want longevity. We want to be able to sell it. So if you have something that's not proprietary, if you have a business where there's competition out here, all you really have is your brand. And so your brand can be extremely valuable. I've had so many clients make millions of dollars off of one name. So if someone wants that name and you own it, there are a lot of things you can do with that are extremely valuable. And with trademarks, they last as long as you use them. So that is extremely important, because when you spend a few $1,000s on a trademark, and you're talking about something that can last forever, you can pass it down to your children and their children. I mean, that's a drop in the bucket. And so that's the way you have to look at things. If you have a business, you need to prioritize. You need to know how to delegate, because you're only one person. So you can't do everything in the business or it'll fail. So that's the key, being able to do those things and being able to understand the value of what you have and what your options are with that intellectual property.
Right, exactly. And I really love the point where you were saying how people want to wait until, after they become famous or after their product becomes known to do these things. And like preparation is where that comes in. And I think that's a really good tip for people to pull from. And of course, delegation as well. So before we go, is there anything that you want to share with us? Maybe a new product or whatever it is. I don't know. But if there's anything that you maybe want to pitch or share.
Sure, thank you. So I'd like everyone watching to call me and let me know if I can be a resource to your business.
Yes,
so if
definitely.
anybody needs any patent, trademark, or copyright services, I can be reached at evansiplaw.com. On social media, I'm Evans IP Law everywhere, Periscope, Twitter, Instagram, and I have a YouTube page. And we offer consultations. So even if you're not located here in Maryland, where I am, we offer consultations by phone or Skype. And that's what I love the most about my practice is that it's federal, so I'm able to represent clients all over the world with intellectual property issues. So if anybody needs my help, they'll know where to find me. And if you felt inspired by watching this video, it's time to take action because, like I said, this takes time. So you want to get going.
And I did not pull this lady just because she was cool. I saw her speak was it the STEM and in Arizona, the STEM conference in Arizona, and she's absolutely wonderful. And what she was sharing was so important. We pulled so much from her knowledge, and then looking her up later, she has a lot of knowledge to share. So I definitely recommend you all check her out. The website, the links will be down below, so you can see what she's doing and everything that she's doing. Before we go, I actually totally forgot to mention this, that you do have another company, correct?
Yes. So speaking of STEM, I have a STEM program for children, Kidgineer. And so Kidgineer, we provide hands-on engineering programs. So many. So now you have me wearing my STEM hat. So like I said, I'm very passionate about inspiring children to learn more about science, technology, engineering, and math, because by 2020, it's expected that there will be more jobs and not enough people to fill those jobs. So for all those entrepreneurs that want a side hustle as an engineer, we do coding and build houses and wire them up with using electrical engineering techniques and chemistry projects, solar energy projects. And so it's a very fun program. And I'm really excited to say a few years ago, I received a White House Champion of Change for that program. So.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I definitely recommend you. That website will also be down below too. Science has always really been one of my favorite subjects, so I've always wanted to maybe do a side hustle with that, like when I'm in college, or maybe learn a little bit about that as well, just because that is something that's so important. That's almost like a plan B. Like if you have an experience in that, and like if you go to college for engineering, you're able to do be a lawyer or whatever. You also have these plan Bs if you do take these fields that are very necessary and very important. So thank you so much, Miss Andrea, for joining me. This was definitely a really knowledgeable interview, and I think a lot of the people that are watching will really be able to pull and will probably be contacting you. If they don't, I will make sure to tell them personally, contact you, because you have a lot of great knowledge to share. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you again for having me.
Thank you for watching another episode of ExCEL with Gabrielle. I hope that you enjoyed this interview with Miss Andrea Evans. If you are an entrepreneur that is looking for a copyright, a trademark, a patent, make sure to check the links down below to learn more about her and to get in contact with her so that you don't have to do this on your own. Also, make sure to head over to excelyouthmentoring.com to subscribe to the ExCEL Youth Mentoring Institute. You can email me at excel@GabrielleJordanInspires.com to send me any questions, comments, or concerns that you'd like me to discuss in my next video. And make sure to join me next Sunday at 7 p.m. to learn, grow, and excel with Gabrielle. I will see you next time.